It means so much to have my best friend introduce me today, to have my husband, Robin, and my daughter, Gigi, here with me. I'm honored to be here with all of you and to be supported by my New York and RDC peeps, my partners, Jennifer Stevens and Laura Devine, my colleagues in New York and London, my mentors and friends, my current executive committee, and the past presidents, directors, and staff I've had the privilege of working with in the last 5 years. But last and not least, you, the membership of AILA, who have given me the honor of serving as AILA President for the coming year. Thank you for your tenacious work, for protecting our clients' rights, and for zealously protecting the rule of law. As we sit here today in San Francisco, eager to start our conference, I'd like to take a moment and think about how our practices have changed in the last 18 months. Think about opening your mail and finding another RFE. Think about checking your email messages when you wake up in the morning and seeing a message from your client telling you his visa was denied. Think about opening your news feed over the weekend and reading about a young father separated from his children, so hopeless of his future that he felt his only option was to take his own life. Or an article that the Attorney General has ruled that women who suffer institutionalized domestic violence are no longer deserving of asylum in the United States. As immigration lawyers, we know better than anyone that every immigration policy decision, every one, directly impacts the lives of people. Whether it's a mother, child at hand fleeing unspeakable violence in Central America, or an entrepreneur seeking to launch her business, create jobs in the United States, and develop cutting-edge technologies. What we do as immigration lawyers rejuvenates the promise of America as a nation of immigrants. And those immigrants are people. They have names. Think about Naguib, a Yemeni American whose 11-year-old daughter, Shamia, suffers from severe mental and physical disabilities, but who was denied a visa in April and is now unable to get medical care in the US she so desperately needs because Shamia is a citizen of Yemen and considered a threat to US security. I, like many of you, have read INA 212F, and I still can't find the provision that says little girls in need of emergency medical care are detrimental to the United States' interests. Think of Frida, a Chinese citizen with a master's degree in business from Stanford, 2 law degrees, and 4 years' work experience at a leading international firm in Hong Kong. Frida's H-1B petition was denied. USCIS determined employment as a financial analyst at a Bay Area startup did not qualify her as a specialty occupation worker. In other words, it's more likely than not that the analysis of profitability, solvency, stability, and liquidity doesn't require a degree. Think about Peterson, who was 9 years old and barely survived days under the rubble of the 2010 earthquake that devastated Haiti. He endured more than a dozen surgeries in the United States and has become a promising dancer at a magnet school in Miami. Haiti, which is still reeling, not just from the earthquake, but also from a cholera epidemic, drought, and Hurricane Matthew, was removed from the countries eligible for TPS. Peterson now faces a potential crossroads which could devastate his dreams and potential. And finally, think about Bo, a 4th-year PhD student studying properties of materials used in solar energy technologies at UC Merced. Bo came to the US when she was 5. She has DACA, but it expires in April, and she doesn't know if she'll be able to finish her program, get a job in the US, or if she'll be deported to a country she doesn't know. These are all stories that have been published in only the last several months. Each of these immigrants is a real person, a person with hopes and dreams and aspiration. each coming to America like many of our parents and grandparents did to build better lives for future generations. These immigrants represent tens of thousands more who have a legal claim to the American dream but are being shut out of the United States. They're being shut out not because of new immigration laws passed by Congress or even because President Trump has built the big, beautiful wall on the southern border. No, these immigrants, our clients, are being shut out by an invisible wall. The wall that has been erected to barricade the United States from the rest of the world by this administration. The wall that is confining and weakening American families, American communities, and American businesses. The wall that must come down. Walls, whether physical, emotional, or mental, can stunt a country or a person. We've all dealt with internal walls in our lives, those we've built or those built around us by other forces, whether family expectations, lack of opportunity, or external prejudices. Walls are built to withstand force. It is hard to tear down a wall. I know a little bit about feeling confined by a wall. As Alexis mentioned, I grew up in Indiana in a blue-collar family. Literally, my dad wore blue-collar shirts to work at the steel mills every day, provided there wasn't a strike or layoff. To help make ends meet, my mom made wedding cakes, cut coupons, and scoured sales. I saw steel mills close as production moved offshore. I saw the explosion of new homes being built in Northwest Indiana by non-union immigrant workers. I saw the political rallies in favor of the Davis-Bacon Living Wage Act, the basis of the prevailing wage requirement, and the rallies against NAFTA, which were seen as a threat to manufacturing in the Great Lakes region. These events, which seemed unrelated to me in the late 80s and early 90s, all have a common element and were the beginning of the political climate we find ourselves in today. The changes that were happening slowly created resentment from regular Americans who felt left behind. These Americans, the kids in my neighborhood, my classmates from St. Bridget's and Andrean High School, my parents, brothers, cousins, and extended family, were ready for someone to fill the chasm of lost opportunity with empty promises and the scapegoating of immigrants. In my old stomping ground, political forces have manipulated Americans who have been recruited to help build the invisible wall. The wall is being built by words, by dehumanizing immigrants, by speaking of immigrants interchangeably with MS-13 gang members, as rapists and as animals. They come from shithole countries. They have anchor babies. They're perpetuating chain migration as if reuniting families constrains our country. They're too lazy to get off their asses. Their children can be ripped from their arms and they can go to foster care or whatever. The wall of words is being built by the administration and supported by Americans who've been duped by a con man, tricked into forgetting the historical truth that immigration is the cornerstone of America. Immigration is a core American value, that America was built by the generations of brave men and women who left behind everything they knew to pursue a better life, and that the immigrants of today are no different from our parents and grandparents and ancestors who came to this country and made it what it is today. That immigrants have and continue to make America great. The invisible wall is being built by executive overreach, by restrictive policies, by shutting off discretion, by eliminating predictability, by preventing American workers from being able to fill key positions, by holding children hostage, by turning our back on our international obligations to refugees, and by strong-arming and illegally coercing local and state law enforcement. Immigration is under the brutal assault by the President of the United States with the acquiescence of Congress, which has been unable to act. Who can we turn to? Who can we turn to stand up to this administration's attack on immigration and the rule of law? So far, it hasn't been Congress. No, it's been the courts. We have seen time and time again in the last 18 months that our shield against the tyranny of this administration is the federal court system. The courts are upholding the Constitution when the executive attacks it and when Congress fails to defend it. Federal judges, Republican and Democratic appointees alike, are protecting our clients' constitutional rights. Now more than ever, our role as immigration lawyers is clear. The story of the first 18 months of the Trump administration is that you, lawyers, are the valiant heroes in an epic battle to protect the rule of law, to save our democracy, to save our country. You are challenging the unspeakable abuses of this administration in court, and you are winning. Think back. Yes, we're winning. Think back to that cold Saturday night in January 2017, when immigration lawyers went into federal courts around the country and stopped the travel ban dead in its tracks, giving a voice to the injustice and an abuse of the executive authority. Think back to the absurd and dangerous threat by Attorney General Jeff Sessions to withhold law enforcement funding from state and local authorities who had the audacity to follow the Constitution and to refuse to hold non-citizens based on ICE's warrantless requests, also known as detainers. Think of the 800,000 dreamers who were told to step away from their dreams and back into the shadows by President Trump when he canceled DACA and the valiant courtroom battles that have kept DACA alive. This is all you, the lawyers, and the major wins we've had in this past year have been through the heroic charge led or supported by AILA and its members. I've never been so proud to be a lawyer and never prouder to be a member of AILA, because it's the lawyers, together with the independent federal judges who apply the law and keep politics out of the courtroom, who are tearing down the wall. Yes, we are tearing down the invisible wall. It's difficult, but we've only just begun. The invisible wall will come down, and when it does, we're going to replace the wall with bridges. Bridges that connect cultures, families, and businesses. Bridges to the future, bridges with a strong foundation, an unshakable foundation. So how are we going to do this? Let's start by building bridges with what we're licensed to do and what we do best, litigation. And this isn't just for the removal defense lawyers. All of us, even those of us who focus on employment-based matters, can wade into this fight. And yes, I know it's difficult to get plaintiffs. In employment cases, it's normally cheaper and more predictable to refile. However, we are not in normal times. Predictability is a thing of the past. It's time to think outside the box. Cap subject H-1Bs selected in the lottery are denied. I-140s based on labor certifications are denied. The international entrepreneur rule is going to be rescinded, and H-4 spouses will soon be denied the ability to work in an obvious effort to pressure backlogged employment-based immigrants to give it all up and leave the United States. The invisible wall is blocking the path of least resistance. Now is not the time to do what we have always done. Now is the time for action. If you're not a litigator, partner with a colleague who is. Work with the American Immigration Council. They will provide technical assistance and may even co-counsel with you. Join the Immigration Justice Campaign and learn how to be a fearless lawyer. Join the federal court section and get admitted to the federal court. The resources are available, training is available. You must step forward and arm yourself for this new era. If you are a litigator, sponsor a colleague for admission to a federal court. Mentor, share resources and experiences. Join forces and coordinate with other litigators around the country and wage multi-circuit attacks. Where we are today is unlike any other time, and we're called to get out of our comfort zones. Our clients, our profession, and our future are under attack. We need to start thinking bigger. We need to make an impact. We need to tear down that wall. Through advocacy, through litigation, the courts can help us tear it down, one brick, one worker, one family member, one business at a time. Okay. And what other bridges will we build? We'll build bridges by protecting our clients, our practices, and our profession with smart technology. We are in an era of technological change that will shake our profession. We have a duty to protect the privacy of our clients and ourselves. The days of relying on Gmail and Hotmail and unsecured accounts are over. I know it's scary and there's so much to know, but we must protect the enormous amounts of sensitive data that we hold and to make ourselves and our clients secure. The General Data Protection Regulations, GDPR, have come into force, and if you handle the data of European nationals, you are subject to the requirements and penalties. These types of requirements aren't going away, and not only are secure practices required under regulations, they'll be required to protect the data we hold. Blockchain is coming to the legal profession. Our practices will be radically transformed. Read the Future of Immigration Law Practice Report and use the resources of AILA's Practice and Professionalism Center. If not, we risk building our own walls. The smart and protected use of technology will be our bridge to protect our clients and ensure our profession survives. We can build bridges with social media and the press. Whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or blogging, you are the experts. Give compelling commentary. If you read an article on immigration and it's incorrect, leave a comment. Write a letter to the editor. Be a resource. Get to know your local immigration news reporter, and the next time there is an immigration issue, you can explain it to the media so we can counter falsehoods and build a correct narrative. Responsible and accurate journalism will bring down the wall and build bridges between communities, uniting us through shared experiences. Accurate reporting can educate and penetrate the wall of misinformation that has separated Americans into divergent camps. Have those difficult conversations with your friends and family who have bought into the administration's false narrative of immigration. Use your personal experiences, your client stories, and your experience in immigration law to educate, explain, foster empathy, and heighten awareness of the economic realities. We have to build bridges to those who have been lured into incorrectly believing that immigrants are criminals, take American jobs, and are a drain on resources. We will build bridges with facts. It is a fact that Donald Trump married not just one, but 2 immigrants. It's a fact that Mar-a-Lago depends on H-2B workers. It's a fact that the American birth rate is declining and our economy depends on the contribution of young immigrant workers. It's a fact that the policies of this administration are targeting immigrants based on religion and race. It's a fact that requiring local law enforcement to facilitate deportation makes communities less safe. As lawyers, we work with facts, and we use them to tell our narratives to demonstrate how our clients meet legal standards. Use facts to set the record straight in the media. with your friends, with your family. Use facts to counter disparaging references to immigrants. Use facts to correct misconceptions. Use facts to counter the policies of the administration. Facts will build bridges that will help bring our country back together. Facts matter. Facts are greater than fear. And finally, we will build bridges with our AILA membership. Through our chapters, interest groups, and sections, we can join forces to educate, advocate, and litigate. Chapters are the heart of this association. My path to AILA leadership, to standing here addressing you today, was based on my experience chartering the Rome District chapter. Since then, AILA's introduced practice sections, including the Global Migration section and Federal Court section. AILA's interest groups continue to expand and are as diverse as the most recently added H2B interest group to ACEs, the Middle Eastern, Hispanic, Women in Law, and Practice Management interest groups. There is strength in working together. There is strength in our membership. There is strength in this room. AILA has so much strength that together we can tear down the invisible wall. In fact, I'd like to try something with you. Indulge me for a moment. Everyone, put down your phones, lift up your hands, and just try doing this, snapping your finger and thumb together. Do you hear that sound? It's a small sound individually, but together it's strong. Now stamp your feet. Everyone, come on, really go. Hear that, feel that. That's the sound. That's the collective power in the room. That's the sound of the power of AILA. And it's the sound of the bridges we're building. It's the sound of the invisible wall crashing down. Together we can do it. And with the action of each and every one of us, we will do it. So today in San Francisco, with the mighty Golden Gate Bridge to inspire us, let's commit to using our skills, knowledge, and experience to build those bridges we desperately need to connect Americans to each other and to connect America to the rest of the world. Our immigration laws should support American families, American employers, and American workers. Our immigration laws should not be manipulated and enforced to further a racist, isolationist agenda. It is up to us to hold the government accountable in the courts, in the media, with our friends and family, in our communities, and in the voting booth in November. Thank you for the honor of serving you as president of AILA. I look forward to working with all of you this year. Now let's get out there and tear down that invisible wall. Let's build those bridges and advocate for fair and just immigration laws, policies, and enforcement. Thank you.